AI is everywhere, from helping people write emails to driving cars. But can it teach an absolute beginner how to smoke their first set of ribs? Today we're putting AI to the test. I've smoked a lot of ribs over the years, but I'm gonna take all that experience and set it aside because today I'm the beginner. We're gonna find out if AI can walk a complete beginner through each and every step of smoking their first set of ribs. Ultimately, finding out if AI can be your next barbecue coach. So here's the plan. Today, we're gonna pretend that I've never smoked ribs a day in my life. And we're gonna use AI to pretty much guide my hands in doing the whole process. Like, all of it's gonna be completely AI. Of course, I'll judge it. That's what I'll do, but essentially every step, every technique, everything is gonna be guided by AI. Now, I'm gonna be using a software called ChatGPT. ChatGPT, to not get too boring or technical, it's a language-based model that essentially answers questions, helps with daily tasks, but it gets more and more powerful every day. So I'm a software engineer and I tend to use it for a lot of different things. I've worked on AI products, I've built things using AI, but it never dawned on me to use it for barbecue. I think this is gonna be really interesting to see what it can do, and I'm excited about it. So let's jump into the conversation. All right, so I have my AI assistant here, or coach. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, doing well. How's it going with you?
Good, my name's Joe, by the way. What's yours?
Nice to meet you, Joe. You can call me Ruby. What's up today?
Cool, so I'm a complete beginner to smoking any type of food. Someone that I watched a YouTube video of told me to go on to Facebook and buy a Weber Smoky Mountain.
That's cool. What kind of tips or info are you hoping to find to get started with smoking?
Well, eventually I'm gonna need you to kind of walk me through the complete steps of smoking my first set of ribs.
I'd love to help you with that. Do you have a smoker already? Or are you still figuring that part out?
I mean, I did just say I bought a Weber Smoky Mountain.
The Weber Smoky Mountain is a great choice. Do you have everything else you need? Like wood, a thermometer, and the ribs?
I mean, we probably should take a couple steps back and talk about, like, what type of ribs should I be smoking? I've never smoked any type of ribs.
Got it? Let's start from the very beginning. For your first time, I'd recommend starting with baby back ribs. Have you picked up any ribs yet? Or are you still shopping around?
I've not really looked into it much, so you recommend the baby back ribs?
Yep. Baby back ribs are a solid first choice. Once you grab those, we can go over the seasoning, smoking process, and all the little details. Sound good?
I mean, yeah, it sounds good. So it's kind of late, so what I was thinking is maybe you could give me a grocery list and I could take that, get the stuff that I need, and we can go through the whole process tomorrow.
That sounds like a plan.
Perfect. So do you have a grocery list?
Here's a quick grocery list for smoking baby back ribs. Baby back ribs, yellow mustard, barbecue dry rub, apple juice or apple cider vinegar, barbecue sauce, charcoal, wood chunks, aluminum foil, butter, and brown sugar. That should cover the basics. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds perfect. So when you say barbecue sauce, do you mean barbecue sauce?
Haha, yes, I definitely mean barbecue sauce. Totally optional though. It's all about your preference.
I mean, let me tell you, I am complete beginner. I know nothing, so don't leave any decisions up to me.
Got it, Joe. I'll guide you through everything. Let's go with a mild classic barbecue sauce. You can grab a bottle of something like Sweet Baby Ray's. How does that sound?
Hey, if that's what you think, you know, that's what we'll do. I'll take this grocery list, I'll pick up everything, and then we'll talk again tomorrow.
Sounds great, Joe. Can't wait to help you smoke those ribs tomorrow.
Okay, so, not really surprised there. It's probably gonna have me do the 3-2-1 method. I can tell you, and there's no other technique that's more prevalent than the 3-2-1 method. And I'm not super excited about using Sweet Baby Ray's, but what do I know? I'm a beginner. I got everything. She had mentioned baby back ribs, got those, charcoal, and applewood. Also got Sweet Baby Ray's, foil, seasoning. I got the mustard. I got everything she said. We're gonna see where she's going with this recipe. Okay, Ruby, so I've got my ribs. I just took them out of the package. What's the first thing I need to do?
The first thing you'll want to do is remove the membrane from the back of the ribs, the bone side. Here's how. 1. Flip the ribs so the bones are facing up. 2. Use a butter knife to slide under the edge of the membrane on one end. 3. Once it's lifted a bit, grab it with a paper towel. It helps with grip. And slowly peel it off.
So we got this one side off. Let's go to the next one. Now, when I normally do these, I'll just go from the center. I feel like it's a little easier, but she is saying to go from the edge, so we'll do that. So I have the membrane off. What's next?
Perfect. Now rub a thin layer of yellow mustard all over both sides of the ribs. This helps the rub stick better, but don't worry, it won't affect the flavor. It's kind of like a glue for the rub. The mustard flavor actually goes away during the cook. The heat breaks down the mustard's water content, and it evaporates during the smoking process. After that, generously sprinkle your Killer Hogs barbecue rub all over both sides.
Okay, but I have a couple concerns about my ribs. So they look kind of like jagged and they have a lot of loose pieces and stuff on the sides. Now, other people's that I see doesn't have that. Is that something I need to take care of?
Good eye. Those loose, jagged pieces can burn quickly and dry out, so it's a good idea to trim them off. Use a sharp knife to clean up any loose or hanging pieces of meat or fat along the edges. Go ahead and trim those ribs, then we'll move right on to seasoning with that Killer Hogs rub.
So we're gonna go ahead and season these up. I was a little concerned about those kind of jagged edges on the end, but you know, if you weren't concerned about it, you just wouldn't bring it up to the AI assistant, right? Okay, Ruby, I have my ribs seasoned. What do I do next?
Let the ribs sit for about 10 to 15 minutes to let the rub absorb before we move on to the smoker.
Okay, Ruby, so I'm about to use my smoker, and I need to know what is the very first step for lighting my smoker.
All right, Joe. The first step is to grab your chimney starter and fill it with your charcoal briquettes. Light the cubes or newspaper and set the chimney over the flames. Let the charcoal burn for about 10 to 15 minutes until the coals are ashed over and glowing.
Okay, perfect. So I have my charcoal lit. What do I do next?
Awesome. Carefully pour the lit coals into the charcoal chamber of your Weber Smoky Mountain. Spread them out a bit, but leave room for indirect heat.
Okay, but how much charcoal do I actually use? So do I put any unlit charcoal in first and then pour the lit charcoal over it? Like, how does that process work?
Great question. You'll want to use a mix of unlit and lit charcoal for a longer, steady burn. 2. Add wood chunks. Place a couple of wood chunks, applewood or hickory, directly on top of the hot coals for that nice smoke flavor. 3. Assemble the smoker. Put the middle section and water pan in place. Fill the water pan about halfway with water to help regulate the temperature. 4. Close the lid. Assemble the top part of the smoker and close the lid to let it come up to temperature around 225 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit.
So Ruby, I'm lighting this Weber Smoky Mountain, and I'm noticing that there's these vents on the top of the smoker and on the bottom of the smoker. What are those used for?
Great question. Those vents are key to controlling the temperature and airflow in your Weber Smoky Mountain. The vents on the bottom are your primary way of adjusting airflow. Opening them allows more air in, fueling the fire and raising the temperature. Closing them restricts airflow, which cools things down. The top vent is mainly for releasing smoke and excess heat. When the temperature is steady, place your ribs on the top grate, bone side down. Close the lid and let the smoker do its thing. You'll want to keep the smoker temperature consistent.
Okay, Ruby, so I've got those ribs on the smoker. What was the next thing I needed to do? I've got the temperature steady at about 250 degrees, and all the vents and stuff are taken care of, so I just need to know the next step.
Great job getting the ribs on and holding that steady 250 degrees Fahrenheit. The next step is to spritz the ribs every hour or so to keep them moist and help develop that beautiful bark. Mix some apple juice or apple cider vinegar with a little water in a spray bottle.
Yeah, but how long do I need to keep them on the smoker before I wrap them?
Great question. You'll typically want to smoke the ribs unwrapped for about 3 hours.
Hey Ruby, it's been 3 hours and I've been spritzing these ribs every hour with apple cider vinegar.
Awesome. Now it's time to wrap them. Follow these steps. 1. Lay out a large piece of aluminum foil. 2. Place a few thin slices of butter on the foil. 3. Sprinkle some brown sugar over the butter. 4. Pour about 1-2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar on top. 5. Place the ribs meat side down onto the butter and sugar, then tightly wrap them up in the foil. Once wrapped, put them back on the smoker, meat side down, and let them cook for another 2 hours.
All right, Ruby, so these ribs have been in this foil for 2 hours. What do I do next?
Perfect timing. Now that the ribs have been wrapped for 2 hours, it's time to carefully unwrap them. Here's what to do. Remove the foil, but be careful, it'll be hot, and there might be some steam. 2. Check tenderness. You can use a toothpick or the bend test. Gently lift the ribs from one end, and if they bend easily without breaking, they're ready. 3. If you want, brush on some of that sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce and let the ribs cook for another 15 to 20 minutes.
So I'm pleasantly surprised with how much she knew. I mean, I work with AI every day. I'm a software engineer. So I guess I'm not 100% surprised, but I've never thought to use it for something like this. So, and I do think these are gonna be pretty good. Man, those are good. Good clean bite. They don't fall off the bone. I mean, those are good for my first ribs ever. What's the verdict? I think she did a great job. Look, are you gonna hit a home run using AI? No, but she's gonna get you in the ballpark. If you are brand new to smoking, AI is gonna be very useful for you. AI is not gonna replace experience. I can tell you that just by listening to her. Like, I kind of allowed my experience to steer the conversation a little bit because she was just gonna have me throw lit charcoal straight in the basket with no unlit charcoal. Most importantly, if you're new, make sure you ask a lot of questions. Try the AI out, you're gonna love it. If you're experienced at barbecue, I think this can still benefit you because it's gonna break you outside of that creativity box. Give it a shot and you'll probably learn something new.